There's more to a Dunkin' Donuts than meets the eye. Sure, they're delicious, but Dunkin's is a master manipulator for getting you to loosen your purse strings. Subliminal messaging, strategic pricing, and the irresistible allure of those fresh-baked smells. It's all part of a carefully crafted plan to make you crave and buy more donuts. Want to understand the psychology behind Dunkin' Donuts' profits? In this video, we will reveal the donut domination strategy behind Dunkin's success and unveil their secret story. Dunkin's, formerly known as Dunkin's Donuts, is an American multinational coffee and baked goods chain with a global reach stretching over 37 countries. They churn out 2.9 billion donuts annually, translating to roughly 3.3 million donuts devoured daily. While donuts may be their secret weapon, coffee remains a crucial revenue driver. Dunkin's sells over 2 billion cups of coffee every year. As of 2024, Dunkin' brand, the parent company of Dunkin' and Baskin-Robbins, boasts a market capitalization exceeding $10 billion. Their annual revenue surpasses $8 billion, with Dunkin' contributing significantly. Dunkin' has established a vast network of over 12,500 restaurants worldwide. That's more Dunkin's locations than there are McDonald's in the United States. Now, what's the exact story behind this massive donut business? Meet Bill Rosenberg, a Bostonian born and bred in 1916. But don't let that year fool you. Bill's story is anything but ordinary. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, Bill's childhood was a mix of hustle, grit, and, of course, some good old-fashioned mischief. Now, Bill's mom might not have been able to spell her way out of a paper bag, but man, could she cook. Those donuts she whipped up were pure magic. Bill practically lived for the smell and taste of those heavenly treats. Meanwhile, his old man ran a small grocery store where young Bill got his first taste of the business world. On a scorching hot summer day, Bill had more watermelons than he knew what to do with. So, what does Bill do? He sets up a little stall outside the shop and starts peddling those juicy fruits like there's no tomorrow. "Bring a watermelon home! Surprise your family!" he'd holler, and before you know it, they're flying off the shelves. But selling watermelons was just the beginning. By the time he hit double digits, Bill was already a seasoned entrepreneur, slinging ice cream like it was going out of style. Armed with nothing but a box full of frozen treats and a lot of hustle, he'd hit Carson Beach and rake in the dough. Now, you might think selling ice cream was all fun and games, but Bill and his buddies had to deal with their fair share of troublemakers. Bill didn't back down when some older kids tried to muscle in on their turf. He and his crew came prepared. Rocks in their boxes instead of ice cream. Let's just say things got messy, but Bill and the gang held their own. But life wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for young Bill. He had his fair share of setbacks too, like getting kicked out of school for refusing to rat out his classmates. Hey, loyalty's a virtue, right? And when times got tough during the Great Depression, Bill rolled up his sleeves and took on any job he could find. Shining shoes, delivering newspapers, you name it. Despite the odds stacked against him, Bill never lost sight of what mattered most, his family. Every penny he earned went straight to them, keeping the lights on and food on the table. At 17, Bill caught wind of a buddy scoring big bucks slinging ice cream for Simcoe. So he thought, why not me too? Joining the company, he found himself under the wing of an accountant named Henry Winokur. From delivery boy to national sales manager, Bill climbed a ladder faster than a squirrel up a tree. It was like a crash course in the food biz, shaping him up for what lay ahead. Then, boom! World War II barges in like an uninvited guest. Bill's faced with the prospect of getting drafted, but he's got tricks up his sleeve. Armed with a refrigeration engineer's license, he snagged back at Simcoe. He landed a gig as an electrician at Hingham Shipyard. Spoiler alert, he's way over his head. But does he give up? Heck no! He claws his way up to contract coordinator with sheer grit and determination, dodging the draft like a pro. But life's a fickle mistress, ain't she? While Bill's dodging bullets in the shipyard, his little bro Donald's shipped off to the front lines. Then, one day, that dreaded telegram arrives. Donald's gone. Just like that. Bill's left reeling. His world shattered. The screams of his mom still haunt him, etched into his memory forever. In the wake of tragedy, Bill's outlook shifts. Life's too short for just scraping by, he reckons. He's been hustling from job to job for too long, keeping the family afloat. But now it's time to aim higher, to chase that dream he's been harboring deep inside. It's time to turn that dream into reality. So, after World War II wrapped up, Bill was itching to dive into his own gig. But fate had other plans, in the form of two blokes running a food truck biz called Industrial Luncheon Services. They practically hounded Bill, begging him to join their venture. After turning them down more times than he could count, they played their trump card, an offer to become partners in the business for a measly $2,500. Seeing a shortcut to his entrepreneurial dreams, Bill cashed in his war bonds and borrowed $1,000 from his mom, whose heartache over his brother's death in the war left her with some government compensation. With a third of the company now in his pocket, Bill soon realized why his partners were so desperate to rope him in. They were clueless. They were sneaking banned goods from the war era into the mix, and Bill wasn't having any of it. So he cut his ties and struck out on his own with the help of his old mentor, Henry Winokur. However, with most of his savings sunk into the failed partnership, Bill was left with just one beat-up truck to kick off his solo venture. Undeterred, Bill splurged what little cash he had left on top-notch ingredients. Quality was his game, and he was playing to win. He set up shop, serving up Joe that had folks scoffing at the price tag. But Bill had a plan. He offered it for free, with a dime due only if it hit the spot. And it did. Soon, Bill had a loyal following hooked on his premium brew, and business was booming. Bill hit up factories with his trusty truck, Sans Cafés, slinging grub to hungry workers. It was a hit, and Bill wanted more. The problem is that trucks are as rare as sober sailors after shore leave, so he gets crafty. Bill pioneered the mobile food scene before it was even a thing, snagging taxi cabs and transforming them into makeshift food trucks. Fast forward a few years, and Bill's empire is booming. With nearly 200 trucks rolling through New England and New York, he's the king of curbside cuisine. But here's the kicker. Coffee and donuts are pulling in the big bucks. So Bill does what any savvy businessman would do. He doubles down. Opening up his own joint, Open Kettle, Bill rolls out a smorgasbord of donut flavors, enough to make your head spin. But Open Kettle? No, doesn't quite have that zing. So Bill puts his team on the case. One brainstorming session later, Dunkin' Donuts is born. So, Bill's got this itch for growth, right? He's thinking, how do I take Dunkin' Donuts to the next level? And then it hits him. Franchising. Instead of running every joint himself, he lets other people do the heavy lifting, while he sits back and collects a cut of the dough. But franchising was about as popular as a skunk at a picnic back in the day. Some states even banned it. But Bill's not one to shy away from a challenge. He's all in on the franchising game, believing it's the golden ticket to success. In fact, Bill's so gung-ho about franchising that he goes on to start the International Franchise Association. It's about putting your money where your mouth is. He's paving the way for franchises like McDonald's and Subway to hit the big leagues. But not everyone's on board with Bill's vision. His partner Harry's giving him the stink eye, thinking franchising's just a recipe for disaster. And wouldn't you know it, they part ways faster than a hot knife through butter. Bill buys out Harry's share, but not before Harry pulls a sneaky move and starts his own rival donut shop. Now, you'd think taking on debt and slowing down Dunkin's growth would be a recipe for disaster, but not for Bill. He's playing the long game, putting your money where your mouth is. He's paving the way for franchises like McDonald's and Subway to hit the big leagues, but not everyone's on board with Bill's vision. His partner Harry's giving him the stink eye, thinking franchising's just a recipe for disaster, and wouldn't you know it, they part ways faster than a hot knife through butter. Bill buys out Harry's share, but not before Harry pulls a sneaky move and starts his own rival donut shop. Now, you'd think taking on debt and slowing down Dunkin's growth would be a recipe for disaster, but not for Bill. He's playing the long game. Bill gets hit with a diagnosis that stops him in his tracks: lung cancer. It's a tough pill to swallow, but Bill cannot back down from a fight. So, in 1990, Dunkin gets swooped up by Allied Lions, the same crew that's dishing out Baskin-Robbins ice cream. And guess what? They also snag Mr. Donut, the rival joint run by Bill's old buddy, Harry. It's like a donut showdown under one roof. But here's the kicker. Dunkin comes out on top, cause let's face it, who doesn't love their coffee and crullers? Now, fast forward to 1997, and the internet's blowing up, but Dunkin finds itself in a sticky situation when a duke named David Felton starts airing his grievances about their stores on a website called dunkindonuts.org. It's like Yelp, before Yelp was cool. Dunkin tries to shut him down, but David's not budging. Eventually, they strike a deal. Dunkin coughs up some cash, and David hands over the domain name. In 2002, Dunkin lost its fearless leader, Bill Rosenberg, to bladder cancer. This guy's been through the ringer. Blood cancers, skin cancer, lung cancer, you name it. But even with all that, he still sneaks in a donut or two. Bill's the OG behind Dunkin's success, but the story's far from over. In 2005, Dunkin gets a makeover with new owners and a fresh slogan, America runs on Dunkin. And get this, they're shifting gears from donuts to Java. That's right, they're coming for Starbucks turf. Dunkin even takes a jab at their fancy menu with ads poking at their tongue-twisting drinks. But Dunkin ain't done yet. In 2019, they dropped the donuts from their name, sending shockwaves through the donut-loving community. People are scratching their heads, wondering why they're ditching the donut connection. But sometimes you gotta shake things up, right? But it's not all rainbows and sprinkles for Dunkin. They hit a rough patch when a franchise in Thailand was slammed for a racist ad featuring blackface makeup. How did you like the story? Do let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.